Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Hacking Visual Studio. I'm your host, Matt Kristensen, and as usual, well, maybe not as usual anymore all the time, but today I've got the wonderful producer, James. Hello, James. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you? I'm back. I'm
Yes.
back, Mads. Check this out. Ready? Check this out. Ready?
Okay.
Wait. Did it work?
Was it a sound effect?
It's music. Can you hear that?
Yeah. Is that a new feature for StreamYard?
It is. Background music. I don't know if we want to use it, but it's there.
We should do it whenever there's a profound moment. We should have some, profound music backdrop.
I like that. Like very pay attention to this. This is super good.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm back. I'm glad to be back. And now I'm going to go away.
Okay. Well, good to see you, James. And good to see everybody out there. So today's topic, let's just dive straight in. Okay. Last week we were looking at a bunch of things, and one of the things was I was trying to figure out if I could get more people to rate my extension by kind of asking them to donate money and giving them an opt-out to rating the app instead, which was the sort of the cheaper version, right? So I was just playing around with ideas. The whole point, James, you missed this, but the whole point was just to see whether or not I could get some more, 5-star ratings on the marketplace, because this is my hypothesis, and it may not be true, but I believe that if a user goes to the marketplace to try to find an extension, they're going to look at two things. They're going to look at how many installs does an extension have and how highly rated is it. And those two numbers are going to help determine if the user finds that this extension is worth installing or not. Does the user believe this is of a high enough quality for them to even try, So I think that it's important that we have as high of a rating as possible. And feel free to disagree.
I agree, Mads. Listen, let me tell you a little story, because this is the same exact thing.
You have a label.
Do I have the story time label? You're better at this. I feel like I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Where'd my story time label go? You let John in here once. And all right, let's do story time. So here's the thing is, for years, I've been talking about this with mobile and desktop applications ever since you could put desktop apps into the store. So this is really important because iOS, Android, and Windows all integrate in, and Mac integrate in the prompt to basically say, hey, rate this thing. And you can do it in the app, or you can have a button. Now, I did a blog post. I did a before and after when I launched new apps about a year ago for my cycling application. Now, before I did any user prompts or anything like that, I had 2 reviews. One was from my wife and one was from John Galloway. You know what I mean? That was it. And because it's a lot of effort, you got to go find the page, you got to go do a thing. So what I did in my mobile applications, and I've been talking about this for years, is sort of tracking some of the usage. Hey, now that the users have used the cycling app 10 times, they probably like the app, go ahead and give them the prompt. And I entered that into the first update into the application. I went from 0 reviews to 50 reviews in a week.
No way.
Now I have hundreds of reviews on my, what I mean? Same thing. So I do it in all my applications, but I don't do it just if they install it, it's just boom, there it is. So anyways, I'm a big proponent of this. I've written about it 20 times. So I love this.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So of all the ratings that you did get after you prompted users to rate, were they all predominantly 5 stars, or did you get some really bad ones?
Great question. I'm glad that you asked. No, not necessarily. So over the holidays, I made a skiing app for the local ski, Nordic ski area over here. And, on iOS, it has about 1,500 installs. We got 44 reviews. That's a 4.8 star. I would say 80% 5-star, 15% 3-star, and a few 2 and 3 stars in there. Wow. So, and those are just star ratings, not written reviews. So sometimes you get written reviews, which are very helpful. But overall, I would say because I put it in after I knew they used it. I'm not gaming the system,
Right.
but you do get some real feedback. I think, if you put that in and the thing is 4 stars, you're going to get more 4 stars. Let's just be honest about it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Well, James, I'm glad you're here because then we can discuss this as we go along on how to implement this. So let's take a look at my screen. So I've been like trying to figure out like how do we ask the user in the nicest way to rate our app without being annoying, without being in their face, without kind of interrupting their workflow and so on. And so I found an article. There's a bunch of articles, and none of them say that I found talk about like hard research, but they all kind of say similar things. So I think we should, at least for the sake of this, just take it as face value. So here's one thing we don't want to do. We don't want to interrupt the customer in the middle of a task or an app launch. So not as they open Visual Studio or if they're in the middle of doing something, typing or whatever. Also, don't prompt a review for every new version, right? So don't reset the sort of the setting of whether you already asked them if a new version rolls around. But what we do want to do is if we want to find a proper moment to ask for a review. Okay. So we could trigger the rating after a specific number of tasks or goals that have been completed. We have to choose the perfect moment, especially after a positive interaction. So look for when is the positive things that users do that usually, in your experience or in your estimation, would put a smile on their face when they use that feature. And that might be a good time to then prompt. Prompting for a review when users are feeling good about the app makes it beneficial for both the app developer and the users, and they will more likely leave a positive rating and provide more informed feedback. Okay. Here's another do, which is integrate rating requests. So instead of like pop-ups or whatever, make it part of the natural workflow. And here's like, well, you can put it in like if you have a menu, well, with some commands on it, maybe you can put it in there if it's a place where users would go look for those things. Well, if it's a command that users would use anyway and open from now and again, that menu, then that might be a good idea. We can also ask outside the app. That's kind of what we did last time when the marketplace description is we ask users there to rate the app. So, okay, so I think that's out of the way. Are there any? Do we have any like comments here so far on? Well, let me ask you specifically about this. Is anyone so far disagreeing with what James said in his experience and what I'm proposing here based on the article that I found, like on how to proceed? Then please let us know here. So John Galloway, hey John, he says modal review prompts are annoying. Best way to get a 1-star review from me. Okay, so definitely don't do this thing here. Pop up a modal asking for a review.
Yes, I say yes and no on it. So there's no other real way to do it. Here's the thing is I think that there's right ways and wrong ways to doing it. I just had a great conversation with my wife about pop-ups and modals and mobile applications and permissions. Like, when you install an app and you haven't even logged in yet, and then it's like, hey, do you want push notifications? Can I get access to your location? Hey, can I get access to Bluetooth?
Right.
I call that being lazy, developer, because what you actually want to do is like the same thing as the app reviews, really wait until the correct time. Like, when do you actually need their geolocation? Like when they go to the map, for example, when do you actually need Bluetooth? Like for my cadence, which connects to Bluetooth sensors, I don't ask for Bluetooth permission until they try to find a Bluetooth device. Like that makes sense. But I could have done that. Like, and that's the worst part is like, especially notifications. But I think here, the important part is what you were saying is when you get a modal pop-up, when you're trying to do something, right? So when do I put my modal pop-ups up for the reviews inside of my cadence? When they finished a workout, not when they're like opening the app, they're starting to do a workout or in the middle of a workout. When they're done, it's like, wow, I just had a great workout, right? If I took it further, I could be like, was their workout like more than 10 minutes? Like, did they have good cadence? I didn't do that. But I think that that's okay. John says that's fair. I've won him over.
Okay. So let's just talk about this. So it looks like we have two key things to figure out here. First is identify when the user is happy with our app or our extension. And secondarily, figure out how do we prompt them to rate at a good in a way that's not intrusive. Let's say that's not annoying. That's the sort of the right time where they're in between tasks. They're not in the middle of doing something. So I think like finding that right moment for when to do the prompt is probably challenging from, it's different from extension to extension. Whereas how do we prompt? I think we can standardize on that. So what I was thinking, what we would end up with this is kind of an implementation that we could put into the toolkit that we can all share, so that end users kind of get used to it. There's just one way of handling of dealing with prompts. They would have seen this before, like, oh, I know that this is just an ask for a rating, sort of like what the mobile devices do, that they have kind of a standard default way of showing those things, and users know what they look like and know what happens if they click yes or if they click no. There's an expectation. So I think that makes sense if Visual Studio has adopts a pattern that all extenders can then use. But that doesn't mean, so that's for prompting. Like there was another one that said, hey, if you want to like add a menu item or something like that to a menu that already exists, go ahead and do that. But that's not a prompt, right? That's the user that then goes ahead and does it on their own time and all this sort of stuff. That's not a prompt. But we should do that too if we can, or if it makes sense. So I want to tackle the first one first, and I want to use the Markdown extension that we looked at last time. And I'm not sure when is the right time. First of all, like what James was saying, let them have used it like 10 times, okay? So you know that they're kind of happy users. I think that makes sense. So we want some sort of keeping track of usages. Okay, so that's one thing. What else? Then we need to figure out what is the happy moment. And okay, so here's my document right here. Is the happy moment when you edit and there's a pause? I don't know. Is it when? Well, maybe is it when you close? Maybe it's when you close an item, a document. Here's John. He says, prompt after successful build on a Friday afternoon. Oh, yeah. Or here, use local time, lunchtime, via sits idle when users back with a full belly, more likely to deal with review in a good way. Oh, man. So this complicates things, because I think those are two good, fantastic ideas. So how do you... So if Visual Studio has been idle for 5 minutes, and you've been working with a Markdown document 10 times. So there you have had 10 separate sessions of Visual Studio. Like, a Visual Studio session means Visual Studio is open, then you close it down again. That was one session of Visual Studio. Some people have Visual Studio open for like 5 days. That means you've had one session for 5 days. So I think we need to do like sessions is probably the best one, maybe, or days. We just do days. How many unique days have you opened a Markdown edit? Yeah, let's do that. Okay. I don't know how to test for if your machine. Well, we can test for whether your machine has been idle, like the whole machine, right? If it's gone into sleep mode. How do you do that? I'm not sure how to test for whether Visual Studio has been idle as an app for 5 minutes. I don't think there's a Visual Studio API for that, but I'm sure there's a Windows API for that. But I'm thinking like when you close Visual Studio, you're done with working with it, right? Sorry, not when you close a Markdown document. That might be when we start recording. Okay, so or after a commit. Oh, we don't have the extensibility points for the Git stuff yet, but that would be a good one. Or when Visual Studio closes a solution. Okay, there's a lot here. Let's just start with something so we can get off the ground. Do I have I think I have here a WPF text view creation listener, and so I can already have a mechanism here when the file is closed. So here's what we can do. We can either, I was thinking, either do like a pop-up, like a regular pop-up, or maybe we design our own SAML that looks nice or whatever. That's like is well themed, dark themed, light themed, that sort of stuff. Or we use a yellow bar, which is not intrusive, and the user doesn't interfere with their workflow. So if they were doing something, they can like kind of ignore it and then come back to it instead. I think I prefer that. I think I prefer that. So let's create a class. I would like to encapsulate everything in a single class. So let's call this one what's your extension? Raider. All right. Rate my extension.cs.
Do you think you could do like a little like Windows notification
too? Yep. Yeah, because
like,
that's you can there's a reentry on that. It stays in the
thing. I also do like the yellow bar, although it might confuse with like the yellow bars that are in Visual Studio, but it could be in a different location. I do like that idea. The other question is for the Markdown files, do you know if they collapse it and don't use yours? Like they open it, but they're like, oh, wait, I don't actually use it. You know what I mean? Like that's a -1. I don't know.
I don't know if that's in this particular case because you might want to just read it because you have a lot of README files. So I would assume that in this particular case, reading is acceptable as a usage.
Got it.
You know?
Yeah.
Let's take a look. Let's do the yellow bar. And you know there's two types of yellow bars. I don't know if you know this, but there's one that lives in a window frame, so you can put it into Solution Explorer. It will show up at the top of Solution Explorer. Or that's the same one that will live on top of your document. So in C# file here, it will like be inside the document here. And then there's the second one, which is sort of the global one, which lives under the toolbar above the tab well in here. So above the files. And that's kind of used, some people call it the promotional yellow bar, the gold bar, or the the real term is actually info bar. Oh, Yanisco has a great Web 2.0 suggestion for a name here. Rate my extender or exter. All right. So what I was thinking was that we'll have to report in saying, hey, this extension has now been used, right? So we have one that says register use. That's all it does. It registers use. So I would call this from whenever a Markdown is closed, Markdown file, and then in here I was going to say, okay, I need to register this somewhere that I can then use for. So how do I do that? I need a shell manager. So I'm going to say settings new. We're going to create a new shell settings manager. This one takes IVS. It takes an service provider, so we're just going to do service provider global. Boom. And this one is now going to complain that they want to be on the main thread. Is that right? Yeah, that's all right. There we go. So we got settings. So we can then say settings. Oh, settings. Get. We want writable setting store. And what scope would we like? We want user scope. Let me clean up namespaces here. There we go. Now we have a setting store. So now we can write to the Visual Studio registry. And so we can say store dot. Does the collection exist? Okay, so what's the collection here? Rating. Or yeah, rating. Sure. Just rating. So if not store, if not collection exists, then what? Then we say store dot create collection. Rating. Okay. So this is, think of this as almost like register keys actually. So okay. So we're going to write that rating. And what do we want to write in there? So we want to register use. It should take like some sort of identifier. And this, it should probably be a URL, right? So string, we're going to say URL. And that's the URL to send to you know, to open the browser to that URL, to the marketplace page where the user can rate. Unfortunately, we don't have a way of rating through the marketplace APIs. We have to send people to the marketplace, but I guess that's the way it is. Okay, so now we can grab our collection. So store dot get collection. No, so set boolean or set. What was it? We want to say get int 32. Okay, so our collection. So let's just create a const. So private string const string collection. Too many magic strings there. Rating. So that's good. Collection. There we go. And what's the property name for where we want to store how many times? So we can say how many times have you done this? We'll just give it like a count. We call it count. So this becomes something like this. So if I already done this, then do it this way. Let's see here. If I haven't done the collection before, I should create the collection and then set int 32 collection. And in this case, property name would be count, and we do 1. So I'm just counting. So okay, well we only yeah, and then we can plus 1, and then we can set that again here. All right, this can be refactored. Obviously, we just kind of want to see if we can. Sometimes I like the logic in code. And we have this URL, so we want to do this on the individual URL. So I think we need to say, it's almost like we have to create a sub collection here. This collection exists. Yeah, we need a sub collection. So we need to have like a private void ensure sub collection. And we're going to do a string URL. We're going to take this URL and use that as part of the sub collection. So we can just go in here and say if collection doesn't exist. Oh, it needs to take a shell settings manager. No, writable settings store. There we go. So if not this one exists, then create it. And then if not, there was something about sub collection. Get sub collection names. Or can I say, actually, no, hang on. I should be able to say collection. I don't know if this is how it works. Can I give it like maybe I can do it like this way and then give it like URL. Can that be a maybe I need to get hash code. So here, string collection equals. Here's how we do it. Collection. Whoop. Collection followed by here backslash, and then we're gonna give it URL get hash code. Boom. Yeah.
I got a good question for you. ArcadeNet asks, with the settings, are they based on the version of the extension? Like, do you lose these settings or are they persisted? Like, that's what, like in iOS and Android, I use the preferences settings, which persist forever, basically.
Yeah, these persist forever, basically.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I don't know if I can do what I just did. So let's just try it. So let's, so how do we, it's almost like I have to create a rating following some rules, like an instance of this thing. Or maybe the rules is like not something you should set, right? Anyway, let's just run this. So we're just gonna say new rate my extension dot register and give it a URL. Let's give it an actual URL. Just to see here if with query strings and stuff, if all works. So this was Markdown, and this was the Markdown v2. There we go. So there's one thing that I forgot, and that is that it needs to look at like some sort of dates or instance counts. But we'll look at that later. Now let's just see if we can actually write to the settings store here. So there's this building. Do we have any other good ideas or comments here? Danny's working on the language editor documentation for V6 Cookbook. That's awesome, Danny. Thank you for that. Okay, so let's just let's open a Markdown file. I have one right there, and I'm gonna just attach to process. So I really find it annoying, like if I F5 in Visual Studio to open the experimental instance, I can't afterwards then go in like in a new debugging session if I've launched the experimental instance without attaching a debugger. Why can't I reattach? I have to like attach again and then select dev env just like I did here. But it's like if I already in that same session have had an F5 experience into the experimental instance, why wouldn't it just assume that it would be that same process and I should be able to just reattach? I should open a suggestion ticket. Okay, so I'm going to close this now. We should hit our breakpoint. Unless it blew up. Nope. Okay, so let's just see here what our collection name is. Rating, and then my... yeah, that's okay. But let's see if it actually... Oh! So now we'll create that collection. And it will set... Okay. All right. So let's do that again. Open and close. There it is. And we're going to close. So now it should already be in there. So we will jump to the next one. Yep. Can it get the count out? This should now say 2, and it does. And it can now, and then it writes that back in.
Is that going to do it for every single Markdown file I open? Like if you open another one in the same session.
Well, yeah. So
like
right
what if you have like 20 Markdown, like you're writing documents, you got 20 Markdown files open and you right click close all. You didn't actually really interact with them, right?
Well, James, that's the next thing we're going to do, because we said that we were only going to do it once per
Okay.
session,
Okay.
right?
I'm jumping the gun. I'm jumping the gun.
You are totally jumping the gun. So how do we do that? So the simplest way is to set a static variable and just say, well, a Boolean, has this been set or not for this variable? Because that static variable is always like follows the set, its lifetime is with the session. But if we're going to make this a generic thing that we're going to put in the toolkit, then you could have multiple extensions installed using the same version of the toolkit, and therefore they will share the same shared static variables. So in that case, we would probably need to do like a dictionary. So we could do a concurrent dictionary or something like that. So we could say, not that, we could say private static. Is it concurrent dictionary? Concurrent dictionary string bool. And we're going to call this cache. That's a tracker equals new. Boom. There we go. So I can go in here and say, first of all, if tracker contains key URL, in that case, it should just be a list. Is that a thing? Concurrent list? Is that not a thing? Concurrent stack, concurrent queue, what's this? What is that? Is that a bag? Yeah. No? Requires one type argument, type of string. Okay. So if tracker contains URL, abort mission. Does that answer your question there, James?
Yes.
Because otherwise we can. So now we just do this, right? Boom.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So like if you've already tracked it once
Yeah.
in this, then it's good.
So so this cannot be read. Oh, it can't be read only. But why can't it be concurrent? Like, what is the thread safe way of doing this? I have a feeling that we're gonna. So right now it doesn't matter if it's thread safe, right? Because it's but we're might be able. We're probably gonna do some async stuff here.
You gotta gotta put a lock object.
Ugh.
That's the tried and true James approach.
Yeah.
When in doubt, lock object. No.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Because that's true actually, because I could ask for whether or not the tracker list contains the URL at the same time someone is adding it.
Yeah. Always be locking those object, I say.
See, so he says it is a concurrent bag.
Concurrent bag.
But
is that a different namespace? Concurrent bag.
It complained before. Oh, it's okay.
Maybe it's not contains.
That doesn't have a contains. Try. Oh.
Because it probably the try checks to see if it's locked or whatever.
Yeah. Does that mean it doesn't guarantee an accurate?
Is it an out variable?
It was an out variable, but I don't care to. I don't want to see it. I just want to know if it's there. Try peek. Try take.
Try take.
That means remove. Attempts to remove and return. We don't
contains.
Want that.
There's a contains though right there. I must take in something else.
Yeah.
Wait. Didn't you just have that?
Okay.
No. Wait.
That's weird. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Didn't you just have contains?
I believe I did. Yeah.
Control Z that. Control Z
that. So there is a thread save way of doing that. I feel like there's a thread save way of dealing with the settings manager, so we don't have to be on the UI thread, and which we don't want to be in this case, because we want to be able to be called from the background thread without marshalling up to the UI thread if possible. Wouldn't you agree? Nothing. It's okay.
I agree.
Oh.
I don't know. Now you're talking about threading. I don't even know. I don't know anything.
Shell settings manager, right? So A shell settings manager.
Chris says, what about concurrent instances of Visual Studio? They would still register. If you had 20 Visual Studios open, you're going to get 20 registries. And that's okay.
20 registry. If I do what now?
Well, let's say you have 2 instances of Visual Studio open, right? That should be 2 uses. I think that's okay. That's 2 different projects. I used it twice.
That's a good one. Well, they write to the same registry, but not what. But I don't know if they. So the registry is a bin file on disk under local app data, and I don't know if you have 2 instances, if they actually write on disk like in real time and they read from there, or they have like an in-memory representation of that they. I would assume that they do in-memory stuff, but I'm not certain. So what does that mean? That means that they won't share.
Someone says that, let's see, Nemi says concurrent dictionary with a bool value always set to true. So this isn't thread safe. Someone else said it wasn't thread safe too.
You know what? I'm starting to think that I should have a file on disk that I write to instead. Because okay, why is a dictionary then more thread safe?
Concurrent dictionary? It's
Yeah.
concurrent.
And the bool value always set to true. I don't understand.
Try it out.
Okay. So then we just say if it contains key, right, and then we say URL equals true. That's very concurrent now. That's for sure. Oh, there's no concurrent hash yet. Okay, let's just move on. Obviously, this needs overhaul by people that know what they're doing. Okay. So we are now increasing the counter.
Oh, we got a Sebastian.
Oh, okay.
He said it is thread safe.
Boom. Just because you're on the .NET team, does that mean Sebastian wins the discussion? Like we just go with that?
I don't know.
I don't know.
John says, does it really matter?
Yeah. Right.
Does it crash your app? I don't know.
Oh, John, but he doesn't make a living off of coding, does he?
I think we do. No?
You think so? I don't
know.
Sorry, John.
Burn on John.
I know.
Wow.
Sorry.
Harsh.
All right. So here's what we do. See, the great refactoring is happening. This is now like so much prettier.
Now
Nemi
says you got to do try add instead of setting it to true. You got to do try add. There you go. True. There you go.
Okay. Hey, have I shown you this one? So I have a keyboard shortcut here that will just go between true and false.
Ah.
You know what else it can do? The same keyboard shortcut if it's on a number. Increases or decreases. Isn't that cool?
That's fancy.
But you might be thinking, well, what if I'm in a C# file and I have like a color value? Right?
Yeah.
Like that. Well, it goes lighter and darker if you go up and down.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Nemi, you should just invite Nemi to a live share session. Nemi says, if try add returns false, you got to return because it's already been added. If not, try add. Yeah.
Okay, then check this out. This is...
I'm ready. Bam.
See that? Boom, boom. 2 lines shorter. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so
apparently contains key is not thread safe either.
So it should be try contains key or something?
Well, I guess you could just do try add, right? Because it's going to return false if it's already there.
Oh my God.
Oh, this thing is amazing.
Okay, here it comes. Here comes the big, okay, if count equals 10, now we're going to do our magic. And of course we want to be extremely super duper async, right? So we're going to do a private task called prompt. That's where we want to be. And I think we need to take a URL for this one. Okay. So we can just call prompt, if I can spell it, prompt, give it the URL, and then just fire and forget it, man.
Gone.
Own. Okay, so let's create an object, and I of course had to go and look at how to do that because I don't remember pretty much. So good thing that I have an example of how to create an info bar. So we're going with info bar. We don't have to. It's just for now. Yes. Okay. So this create info bar. Why does that not exist? Aha, create async. Uh-oh. I need to update basically the window frame or here. If we don't specify any window frame or something like that or GUID, then we can just do it straight. Whoops. There we go. I always found it so weird that if you want to lowercase something in Visual Studio, you have to click Control U. Like, isn't that weird? Like U for lowercase? I don't know, man. I don't know. Why is it complaining about this? The await operator cannot be. Oh, of course. So action item clicked. Okay, so here's what we're doing. Here's what we're doing. This is maybe confusing. So let me help out here. So we're going to create a new info bar model. That's how you create an info bar. So an info bar is those yellow bars, gold bars, you know, and we're going to give them some text and some hyperlinks. So let's come up together with a good sentence here for how do you ask politely how to ask for rating. If you enjoy using Example app, would you mind taking a moment to rate it? It won't take more than a minute. Thanks for your support. Should we just take that verbatim? That's too long. But so we can say, well, first of all, we also need to have an extension name, obviously, because we need to put that in there. Complaining about the name. It doesn't have the async moniker. Let's add that. Okie dokie. So we're gonna say now that what's the name of our extension? Is extension name. Ask that you help out by rating it on the marketplace. Is that like okay, or is it like cheesy?
I don't know. The iOS one says enjoying X, name of app, tap to rate it on the App Store. Question mark? Tap to leave a rating on the. Please leave a rate. Yeah, like please.
Please help the author. So please thank the author
with a review. By leaving a review.
By leaving a rating, a star rating, or something like that.
Yeah. Well, you got to tell them what's their action, right? I guess there's a button. Oh, there's click me. I see. I got it.
So I was thinking like
dismiss.
Rated now, and then I've already rated. I already did. I already rated it, and this is the dismiss button. So this one says rated now. I also feel like please thank the author. It sounds like begging. So but whatever. Okay, And so we do this, and then let's see here if I have the example of. It's kind of really weird that it does this. That the API is that you have to like check what action item .text did you click, right? Seems like some magic strings here. This could totally go wrong.
John was way better. Like this extension helps spread the word by leaving a review. Oh, that's much better. Thanks, John. Official copy editor.
What was it? Like
this extension?
No, not this.
They don't know what it is.
They don't know what the extension is. Yeah.
Like blah blah blah. Help spread the word by leaving a review, by leaving a star rating, by leaving a review. I think leaving a review is fine. People get it.
That's awesome. John, you're the man. Okay. If it's a rate now, then what we do is
even better. I think you should have like remind me later, and then that resets the counter to 0. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Or I guess you would need to dismiss, like never remind me. But the question is, yeah, like how often do you want to bug them? Ooh, and even better if you did like remind me later, you could do it like instead of 10, you could do 20. You know what I mean?
Oh,
well, I'm getting crazy with it. I love it.
Not text. It was action item. It was action context, which we need to apparently to stringify. Is that a thing? Is that what the kids call these days?
Stringification.
Yep. What is Visual Studio Imaging doing here? Oh, because I'm doing an Yep. System diagnostics. Okay. So if action item equals that, then do this. Otherwise, we're just going to say else. There's only 2, so it can only be this other thing. We're just going to nuke the collection, right? Remind me later. Nuke the collection.
Yeah, that's true. I guess so, huh?
Oh, this needs a little. This needs a hand here, but you know. So.
What you could do in the collection is you could have stored on initialization if it didn't exist how many times you need to what the count is, like count equals 10, and then what you could do is you could say, oh, okay, if they say remind me later, double it. And reset it to 0.
No, I don't want to double it. I just want to reset it.
Okay. So you're just going to remind them every 10 times no matter what.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is obviously ugly, right? But let's do this actually.
I think your code is beautiful.
No, but sometimes, James, it's like, let's get this working, and then we can make it pretty later. So store.delete collection. And then we need to dismiss. So is that on E dot? Can we get E dot infobar UI element dismiss? Oh, this is the actual close here. So if they do that, we say close. Okay. Don't divide it by 0. Don't double it, just divide it by half. Yeah. Remind me in 10 seconds. Yeah, there's some good. Oh, there's no argument for the extension name given in basic name. Okay. Should only be done on the main thread. Oh, okay. Yeah, it is on the main thread, the close event, so that's fine. But I don't want register use to be used on the main thread. Why is that? It's because I'm going in and doing this, which this is not thread. I think actually this is threads. I think actually this is incorrect. I think there's a bug. We don't need this. It is the shell manager is in fact free threaded. All right, so let's set our count to 10. Let me close this. All right. If count equals 10, count equals 3. How did that become 3? Oh, yeah. See, it remembered from last session. So count equals 10. Okay. And it will prompt. Gonna hit F5. It's gonna break. Like Markdown Editor V2. Do you see this, people? It's working. Oh, we should come up with a better icon here. So rate it now or remind me later.
Like a star or a thumbs up or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Need some space in there.
So if I click rate it now, it should open. It does. It opens over here and it's loading. Yep. So that works. And it should also dismiss once you click that probably. And then remind me later should just dismiss. Right. Should we get down there? And since we can't actually tell, we have to see the code here. Remind me later. Boom, boom, boom. Store delete collection and then close. Yeah, so now it's gone.
Yeah, I agree with John. Don't show me again. There's like 3 options. Almost too many options.
Yeah,
I do like the idea of don't show me again.
So not remind me later, but
well, there should be a remind me later because maybe I don't have time right now to do it. But I like the idea of adding a third option, which is don't show me again. I know.
Okay, let's find a better icon. So we had a thumbs up, but I don't know what is that. There's no thumbs up here.
Star.
Yeah, but it's probably called something else. So this is called favorite, something like star.
Oh, there you go. Yep. Maybe. Yeah. Favorite. Yeah.
So favorite or rating. Review. Oh. Code review. No, that's the wrong kind of review. Okay, I think favorite is a good one. Remind me later. Okay, should we do one that says don't show again?
I think so. Sebastian says restart the computer now and format my hard drive as an option.
Okay. So don't show again. Remind me later. So this one was remind me later. And then the last one is basically saying this one only kicks in if it equals 10. So this one doesn't do anything. It just closes the info bar.
Yeah.
Because then we'll just keep counting up.
Yeah, that's similar to what ABC is asking. What if they just use the X? Can you capture that close? What would that mean? If they manually dismiss it, I think it would just be, yeah, don't ever show me this again. I think that's what Visual Studio does, right?
On action item click. Let's find out. Should we set a, let's just take a breakpoint and see if that's what that is. We should be able, I would assume we can capture it, but the info bar did not have something. And here, look here, this true here is for, is close button visible equals true. So I can decide if I want to show that close button.
Yeah, you could hide it, right? Because you're like giving them all the pertinent options.
Yeah. Yeah. Remind me later. Yeah, this could use a little bit of cleanup, I'd say. Shouldn't the X remind me later? I would argue that's the case, yeah. But maybe the close is just not. Well, let's dive in. Hey, you want to hear? I don't know if it's a fun fact, but let's just call it that about the info bar. So we've had the info bar, the yellow bar, the gold bar, whatever you want to call it. I think we debuted it in, was it Visual Studio 2017? I think. And you know, as I told you, there's two different kinds, right? There's the one that lives inside at the top of a tool window or a document, and then the one that we are using, which is the sort of the global one.
Mm-hmm.
And the global one was actually meant to be blue.
Ooh.
But I think they kind of just ran out. So there was some additional things that, you know, it was supposed to be able to do. And one of them was a color change to blue. And but those things we just could never prioritize doing that extra work or whatever. And so it never changed. But that would have been kind of nice that you could see the ones that are blue are not errors. They're not, they're used for a specific purpose, which is to like call attention to something that's that you want to know about, let's say. All right. So where do we have? Yeah. Okay. Let's close the document. I'm going to set our count to 10. Then hit F5, and we should hit we should show the info bar. Don't show again. Hey, look at that star. I don't know. We should find a better star that's filled in. This one is just the outline. Don't show. No. Which one should I do? I should do the close, right? What happens when I close? Nothing. So that I don't. So that is the same as don't show again. In that it keeps increasing the counter. Oh, did I remove that? No. Oh, because of this. See? So in this session, it only does it once per session. Whoever came up with that idea is like pretty smart. So I should be able to say tracker clear. Try clear? No, there's a clear. What? Can I say clear? It's because it's a what's wrong? Oh, count 0. So okay, so it actually worked. So we go down here, we say that count is 10, hit F5. But now we say don't show again. Now it comes in here, and don't show again is the last one, and it just calls close. So they do the exact same thing, right? The close button, the X in the corner, and that don't show again. So I didn't like how close they were together. But I don't know if I can put in more spaces. Is that a thing? What if I do? I'm gonna do 4. This one. I don't know if it maintains like multiple. Rated now is just called rated now. There we go. Okay. So what do people think? Is this or what do you think, James? Let's clean this up first. This is, you can't call it like this. This is ugly, right? So let's create should it be a singleton? Like this could just all be static, really. There's no reason this couldn't be like a static class, but we could make it sort of why wouldn't this be a static class? Unit testing, yada yada. Okay. Rated now should also close the info bar. That's right. So in that case, we just do this. Okay. Store, create collection, get it, all that stuff. Yeah, let's just make it static. People gonna scream at me now? That's not too bad, is it? Maybe make it auto hide after a minute. No. No. Well, I could. That's not a thing. But why wouldn't it be a thing? Why wouldn't you want it to be a thing? No, John, I think the problem is that we could do that, but then we have to show it again. We have to, like, if it auto hides, I have to, like, take the count down by 1 or something like that, you know? Okay. So let's just, so rate my extension, register use. Go. Good thing I have a file called constant. We create marketplace URL. Generate method. No. Generate variable. That's what I want. There we go. Not an internal, it's a public const. Public license. What type is this? Public license. System security rights management. Public license. Today I learned. Yep, there we go. So now that's kind of nice. Of course, we need everything has to be wrapped in try catch. All this. Oh, here we got one from Neem. He says, where are we? In the info bar constructor. Well, I don't use the info bar constructor. I just call create async, which uses the toolkit. An info bar model or frame. Okay, so this is not overloaded. So that means that the info bar. Let's see, the info bar, which one is that? It's the community toolkit info bar. Okay, so we need to do something. No, the info bar model constructor is that, okay. So, there. Oh, yes. So here it takes, these are text elements. Let's look at that. It can take, in this case, it can take either an enumerable or a string. So we should just give it a string and then, yes. We can take this and then we can give it a list of action items. I guess this is what you meant. So now this new thing here is an array of let's just call it again here. So here. So now we're going text. It needs an image. No, where are we here? Text and then a collection of action items. So when we do it this way, they might be separated. Well, wouldn't that be something? Thanks for trying Googling, John. So let me throw out the question here to people. What do you think? Is this a good idea or is this a bad idea? Like the concept, not necessarily the execution. At least not this preliminary execution we're playing around with here. But is it something that if there was a standardized way that you could call it super easily, that you would use this in your extensions? Let's hear in the comments. Good or bad? Nice one, James.
Yeah, I have a library called my it's called like App Store rating plugin or something like that. And it basically does this. You track how many times, like the number you want that 10 count right there.
Yeah.
And but it calls like the default iOS and Android and Windows pop up. Or you also have an option which just give it a URL and it'll go to the store as well based on the identifier. But good or bad?
So you already have something like that. So this is not a new. This obviously, well, of course, it's not a new idea. Look at that! Now they are properly spaced.
Ooh.
You know what? This is wonderful. This is wonderful, everybody. I want to use this. I want to play around with it. I want to see what happens. So Robert says, idea is good, but not in the info bar. I know the info bar is like people grow blind to it and stuff, but where else? Where else could we put it?
I think that you have options. Like if I were you, right, I would give our users options, right? So it'd be an enum, which is like info bar, modal, or like Windows pop-up. You know what I mean? And maybe it's a flag where you can, whatever you want to do. That's what I would think.
Mm-hmm.
That might be halfway decent.
Well,
because it's just one implementation, right? The core logic is here. Like, ideally this plugin would take in, I'm calling it a plugin, but this library would take in these strings, right? You're specifying the strings, but it's got to be translatable and a bunch of other things. But ideal scenario is you configure it, right? And right now you're configuring it with a URL, but you could configure it with, what type of notification, what's the count that you need. Like maybe some people are like, man, people like use my thing tons and it should actually be only every, 100 uses.
Right.
Yeah. I am Steven says, can we use a notification like Visual Studio has the update notification? I do like that notification. That's not a native Windows one. It's like its own thing, right?
I'm pretty sure it's locked. I'm trying to look at the notification. I feel like there's something that's supposed to be called here, IVS user notification. Let's see what this is. Description state. So we can get to that. This is just sort of the ugly interface here, interrupt. I think that is the way you put things in the notifications hub. Like the tool window called notifications, but I don't think it will pop up what we call a toast. Robert says we call this shame bar because VS uses it to blame extensions. Yeah.
If you could color it.
We could what, Mia?
If you could make it a different color, like you were saying, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I really want that. I can potentially, right? Because I can go in and do like WPF manipulation directly, which is strongly discouraged, by the way. People, don't do it. Here, let's find an icon. So internally we have this icon search. I don't know if I've shown this before. So VS 2022 icons. So I can go in here and search for star. An asterisk. I want just the plain star that's all filled in. So this is like, here we tag up the icons with tags or whatever, which we don't have outside. This is only like in this particular database. Update animation. There is no star. Add favorite. That's like, how can that be? How can there not be a star? What about thumbs up?
A rating. Right
That's
there,
a little
rating.
plus or rating down here. But I don't know if this is known moniker rating. Oh, I probably searched for rate with an E, not an I. Let's try it. Rating. Ah, it's right there. Oh well. Okay. But we could do yeah, so we could say, hey, do you wanna pub up? So we could do show message box, right? So we could say if count equals 10, we could do away vs. Oh no, there's no away. So we just say vs dot message box show. And we can do the same thing, right? Do you like this extension? Oh. Right. Leave a review if you click OK. So I could set that up too, and then we could, we could take a third parameter up here, or probably we should take like an options. It should be like an options object that it takes where you specify these various different things, and then you just pass that in, and you just keep that statically in memory, in your app code or whatever, because it doesn't change. It's static information. Does that make sense? Okay, so yeah, maybe, but I feel like we need one way of doing it though. I like the Windows notifications because it has a re-entry. Like you can just reopen your, click here to open the notification area back up, right? So it has that aspect, which it's nice. What do you think, James? Which one is the best UI for this? The Windows one also disappears on its own.
Yeah, the Windows one's not going to give you buttons to click on. You know what I mean? Like you're just
so you just click the whole thing and it takes you to the marketplace.
Yeah, or you dismiss it and it goes away, right? So
yeah,
that one's not bad necessarily. I feel like that's easy to, ignore. I mean, I think if it was an app, I would do a modal because that's what everybody else does. That's the default. But I think because of Visual Studio, I would not do a modal. I would either do, I like the Visual Studio Update one because it's like a non-modal modal, right?
Yeah,
that's the best. That's the best one. That's the one I would use because it's there. It's informative. You can have buttons on it. That's what I would do personally, but we don't have access to it. So I think the bar is the best personally, currently. And then the Windows notification would be like the next one, I think.
Right. There's no notification stuff in here.
I'm kind of with, I like the bar is not that intrusive, and I don't get the bar as much as I used to. I don't think can you for the icon, I just did a git push and it has an info icon, but it's blue. Can you make that a different color too? Little icon.
The icon? No.
Oh yeah. Someone said, what about the Visual Studio notifications? The ones that are built in. That I never look at.
Which one?
The notification in the bottom right.
That's what we're talking about.
That one?
Isn't that what we're talking about?
No, 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 you're okay. So you're talking about the little notification that's like right now I have an update for ML.NET Builder 2022, right? And it's like dismiss all, you can exit, you can say more details. That one should probably be in there. That's probably a good option. But the Visual Studio Updater one is like a special one. It's like a third one. It like kind of it's like a toast. Is that it? John's right. Maybe I am right. I don't know.
Yeah, the toast is the one that comes up here in the bottom where it says, "Hey, there's an update to Visual Studio."
Oh, okay. Well, that one. Yeah, I like that one. That one's. I like that one a lot.
Oh.
Is there a different notification, Robert? Which notification are you and I thinking about? That's like a different notification.
There's the Windows one that also pops up down there, but has nothing to do with Visual Studio, so it doesn't go into the notification hub itself, for instance.
I like it being in the notification hub because then I can just like ignore it till later. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that one's different because then how do you know if they closed it or not? Or like, what if they come back 2 days later and do it in the notification bar? I guess it's just there waiting.
It's still there.
Waiting. I like the idea of this being user configurable though, but maybe you're right. Maybe it needs to be streamlined so everyone uses the same process. Like that's what Apple and Google did. Is like that pop-up, you have no control over what it says or what it does or how often it pops up. The Apple one and Google one are interesting. You can request for it to open, but it might not. And you don't know. There's no API to tell if it opened or not.
Yeah, that's not good.
Basically, they say like if you call it once, it'll most likely open. But if you call it more than that, like it may not. It's like, oh, it's all over the place. So 7 on all of GitHub. There's 7.
That can't be it. I wasn't logged in because I'm using like a guest browser profile or whatever.
Yeah, you can't go on that. I'll hide your monitor. That's just big mads.
0. No one has used this in the world. Why is this Azure? Is it possible to override notification to extend the... What is this? IBS user notification service. Okay, here we go. Get notification man. Okay, get result. Okay, so I need to... No, hang on. Oh, I just need to cast this. Cast this too. Can I just do it like this? Or does it have to be like... Manager dot... Shouldn't be object. Come on. So manager dot... I'm just curious. Can I throw some... Add user notification. What does this take? Who it provider? Provider of what? Okay. We'll just give it our let's just give it our package. String identifier. You know, we just give it some sort of title. Wanna rate? Description. Help. Oh. This is the description. Severity. Okay, so what is the severity? Package severity. What kind of severity would this be? I would be able to see that on this example. Here. Is transient. Oh, hang on now. So we should do this regardless. It should always be. It should also always be in the notification hub, even if this doesn't show up in the. It's like a. As a. Notification severity. Why doesn't that exist? We'll just have to make it up. Generate class. Okay, so we guess that there's one called 0? Right. Let's just run this, shall we? This is curious. This is, as we can see, there's no one on GitHub that has ever used this before. So what was that about? What was that error? Avoid throwing when not on the main thread while in an async. Where is that? Oh, why is it async void? Ah. Hang on. So it must have automatically added async because I was putting a weight on some of this stuff down here. Okay. Critical, John says. So this is I think I don't like that it's obsolete though. And it's just obsolete, and then it doesn't say use this API instead, right? So the API for the IVS user notification service is just obsolete. I don't know what to make of that. I need to talk to Jeff, the engineering lead for notifications and other things, as to why that is. It could just be one of those things where it's like, don't use it. We don't want you to use it. You're abusing it. But if there's no one on GitHub that's actually ever using it, then abusing it is probably not. Well, I guess there could be closed source extensions. They do exist. Oh, did I have a typo there, Robert? Maybe. What's going on here? Come on. All right. Let's just try this again. Do a rebuild. And then we run. There we go. All right. So dev event stopped working. Want to debug? Yeah, right. It happens every now and again, but I think it's because I was having the browser open with the StreamYard Studio with the video running in the canvas, and that just drains my CPU. So I have to like minimize that browser. It's on a secondary screen, so you don't see it. Let's see. Come on. Come on, Studio. I'm just very curious to see this IVS user notifications. And if we like it, then I will be happy to lobby for them not removing those APIs. Man, if it could add a toast. Oh, you guys are gonna abuse that so much. It's just gonna be a new yellow bar where people are gonna get like fatigued from looking at that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Android tried that a lot, right? They have toast, and then they try to get rid of toast, and they have a snack bar. They have modal dialogue. They have like all the things, so you can't really win. I mean, I think the thing is that's why Apple and Google said, hey, you can't spam people for app reviews, right? We're going to control when we pop up that dialogue. Now, people can still put in their own and bug people to go to the App Store, but the one that you actually rate in the app, that's the one where they really limit. So,
yeah.
Which makes sense. I'm not
mad
at it.
Yeah. So basically, it sounds like a pop-up might be the way to go. I like the idea that it also puts something in the the notification hub, just so that there's a re-entrance to it.
Yeah, I do like that. You can get back to it later.
Oh, object. So my get user notification manager async does not resolve to that. Well, what does it resolve to? Maybe I should call it. Should I not use the wait at all and just use the get result like they said? Here. What is get result? Object. Come on now. Object of what? Well, either way. Let's find out. Let's just find out what this is. I'm curious now. Close. There is not a sponsor link in the marketplace, no, Sebastian. I think that would be kind of cool if they added the option that if you have like what are those services called where you can be sponsored, like They use them on YouTube, all those content creators, Patreon and all those. It'd be nice. Like a tip jar, right? Like a virtual or actual tip jar where people can they feel they want to.
In-app purchases for extensions. A whole marketplace, Mads.
I know. How cool would that be? Now, I did suggest, like back in the day, that I thought that Visual Studio should have like an app store model where extenders could like very easily be like create freemium models and stuff like that and start making some money. Like the app store, like $2, $1, $5, whatever. But it adds up, right? So but yeah, that didn't go far. All right. This is just not participating. Okay, we'll have to revisit because I actually have to go take my son to a gymnastics class today, of all things. Unfortunately. So okay, I really like this topic. I wanna come up with something here, and I think we're gonna have to land on a modal. But I also like your idea, James, of making it sort of up to the user if they how they want this to be displayed. Not the user, the extension author. Do they want a yellow bar? Do they want a pop up or whatever? But I kind of lean towards just having one way of doing things. What do you think, James? Should we call it? Oh, do we have? Do we have any questions? Does the language service implementation in the toolkit allow augmenting an existing language, say C#? Yeah. At that point, you don't want the language service. You just want the MEF stuff, like the editor features, and the token tagger. You want to create a token tagger. You want to tag something up, and you want to have something special happen. You can do that with any existing language as well. Yep. But you don't want the language factory, because C# or existing languages would already have one, so there can only be one. All right. I think that's it.
Did it.
Yeah. Thanks for being with me today, James.
Always. I'll be back next week too.
Yes. And thanks for John for being here. So even when John is not here, he's still here.
He's everywhere.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a great weekend, everybody. And I hope to see you again next week. Same time, same place. I know there was a question earlier if we were going to move this. I don't think it's possible right now, but well, maybe later on. So same time, same place, next Friday. Take care.